Good afternoon. It's May 16th, Monday. You're listening to Weather with Enthusiasm. We have a really active weather pattern that's going to be developing and affecting the Midwest this week. Just about every single day, a different system will be responsible. A different system will be moving by, which will be responsible for bringing active weather, precipitation with thunderstorms, some with hail, some with very large hail in the mid-Mississippi Valley, moving across the Midwest. There's more going on towards the end of the week as well into next weekend for other parts of the country, including the Midwest. A very big change in theory. We're going to talk about it in just one moment. There's two storm systems that are going to be developing over the next couple of days in response to a high pressure ridge that will be moving out of the area over the course of today and tonight. High pressure ridge with an area of high pressure over in western Missouri that will be moving southeast, where that's going to push the warm air to our east, the air where the temperatures were in the mid and upper 70s. Then we're going to see those two storm systems. The first one is not as dramatic as the second one. At least it won't be affecting us as dramatic because it's falling into dry air. The precipitation will be evaporating before it reaches the ground, but this is mostly for St. Louis. Chicago doesn't get so affected by this until you hit Thursday night, or Friday, when there's a chance for thunderstorms, possibly severe, but the severe weather generally should remain to our south. Those chance for thunderstorms again for Chicago is Thursday afternoon, and then anytime on Friday, scattered thunderstorms. It's going to be really warm and humid in Chicago as well. That's right before the front pushes in, and you're going to hear more about the East Coast and more about Thursday as well in just a moment. Now we go into Thursday. Now Thursday we have a front. This is the classic front that sets itself up throughout the summer. It's an east to west oriented front, and it's going to be north of the St. Louis area. It's really Thursday where we have a difference in computer models where the strongest storms or where the highest risk for severe weather is. Let's just go according to the European computer model, because that's just the way it is, and the National Weather Service is taking that route anyways, which puts the strongest chances for severe weather in east central Missouri, also northeast Illinois and west central Illinois, parts of southeast Iowa according to the GFS model. Supercell storms again will be the highest threat, with very, very large hail on Thursday. Very, very large hail. Hailstorms may affect the region, may affect the St. Louis area, places over there for Thursday. This front, the frontal boundary, it goes seriously north of St. Louis. Not only does it go north of St. Louis, in fact, it's actually Chicago is going to be affected by the heat and humidity for Thursday. That's what it seems like. The front's really going far north. Chicago temperatures probably going into the low 80s with south to southwest winds. And then Thursday night is when these storms might even affect the Chicago area. A strong thunderstorm is possible late Thursday night in the Chicago area. So we have both the St. Louis area and the Chicago area being affected by these storms along the front. You know, much of the Midwest, this is again an east to west oriented front. So much of the Midwest is going to be affected by this situation. The front then starts to move back down south, and we still, however, the front is close enough to the Chicago area where we will see again a chance for thunderstorms on Friday. That's not the big story Friday, though. Here's the big story. When you hear the story from anyone, and when you read about this story, you have a chance of hearing about a much more dramatic story than what might actually happen. And I'm going to explain this right now. We have very cold air coming into the Northwest Pacific. Precipitation is going to be falling as snow once again for the mountains, going all the way down to even levels 4,000 feet. You know, you look at the Black Hills just west of Rapid City, South Dakota, and you can't believe it. You look at this system is expected right now to be bringing probably around 3 to 6 inches of snow for that Black Hills right next to Rapid City. We'll see what actually ends up happening. The temperatures aloft are cold. Temperatures aloft in the Pacific Northwest, reports the National Weather Service, 5,000 feet above the surface is 0 degrees Celsius, which is 32 degrees Fahrenheit. What we said last week in the St. Louis area, that translates to 14 degrees higher on the surface, which would be 46 degrees. But by the time it gets here, the National Weather Service is telling us that it's close to 10 degrees below 0 Celsius. So if we go ahead and we take the regular formula, that every 5 degrees Celsius is 9 degrees Fahrenheit. So then 10 degrees Celsius is 18 degrees Fahrenheit. Under 32 degrees, that's 14 degrees Fahrenheit. So our 14 degree formula no longer works out. It's just not possible. So we're going to drop it. We're just going to drop that 14 degree formula. And what you have to realize is that we have very cold air aloft that's moving into our area. And on the weather maps, it looks really impressive. It almost looks like winter is making a return. And that blackberry winter is coming back after all. The only thing is the blackberry winter is a little bit too late because the sun is just such a powerhouse this time of the year. Temperatures are most likely still going to make it into the 70s in the St. Louis area even after this front moves through. Mid 60s to mid 70s across the Missouri area when you get into Shabbos and Sunday. There is a chance for thunderstorms again in the St. Louis area. Shabbos, there's another, after the front moves through, there's an impulse behind the front, a post-frontal precipitation system that will be moving through. I know it's affecting the St. Louis area, and actually it's also going to be affecting the Chicago area. Chicago, we're going to have winds off the lake again, Shabbos afternoon, and it's going to be cold. For Chicago, it's going to be cold. We're not going to see a strong sun, which is going to cause any rebound. And Sunday as well, with high temperatures in the 50s and low temperatures in the 40s. It will be interesting to see, excuse me, if the Des Moines National Weather Service that was forecasting, they mentioned a couple weeks ago that last week's ridge was bringing an end to the cold season, which is an interesting thing to say, especially considering how cold we've been in April. But their definition of cold is that we're no longer going to see high temperatures of under 60 degrees. That was their definition. We know in Chicago that can't be the case because of the lake. But if you look at Des Moines, Iowa, they're not impacted by the lake at all. High temperatures on Shabbos, mid to upper 50s, says AccuWeather, a high of 57 degrees. To be perfectly honest, the National Weather Service said it's not that we're going to see no more high temperatures under 60, but it's going to be very few. You know, does this classify as the blackberry winter? It could be technically, but you know, they lost out. The blackberry winter lost out because it's coming in at a time of year when the sun is just a true powerhouse. On the other hand, people must realize Chicago has seen snowflakes as late as June 6th. That has happened before. But that's not happening here. Just realize that's not happening here. This air mass is warming up as it moves east. Just like last week's air mass was warming up as it moved east. And what did it come down to? Temperature's almost 80 degrees today. You see, the difference is last week, sure, it warmed up as it moved east, but it was stuck in a traffic jam. It had plenty of time to warm up. So perhaps the thinking was that was the final blast of cold air, and it got stuck in traffic. The thing warmed up, so there's no more. Here in the Chicago area, we're going to be suffering through occasional 50s now and then. In fact, I think we'll be suffering through some 40s even until you hit mid-June, when those lake water temperatures really start to go up. Today we have severe weather, which has been going on all afternoon in the Northeast and the Pennsylvania area. We saw really warm temperatures over the weekend in the Northeast. Brutal heat right now in Texas. That's something that should be mentioned. Extreme heat continues for the next several days. Temperatures will not be quite as hot, but still extremely hot over the next several days. However, I want to point out that these temperatures, although they are triple digit, the dew points, it's behind the dry line. So, okay, but there's wind. The wind is actually making temperatures feel hotter than it really is, because as we pointed out, when temperatures are higher than what your surface skin temperature is, which is 95 degrees. We've learned during COVID that it's 96 degrees actually, because all the thermometers always say 96 degrees. So they say 95, but maybe it's perhaps 96. And if it's very humid and you're sweating a lot, then it actually becomes closer to 97 degrees. Either way, you have places in Texas which are they have those temperatures up in the upper 90s with the dry heat, even hotter than that with wind. So it actually feels hotter than what it really is. So the heat index is 10 degrees lower than the temperature, but realize you throw that out the window, basically it feels like what the temperature is, maybe a couple degrees hotter. It's hot across the desert Southwest as well. The dew points are unusually low, even over in East Texas, dew points in the 50s, maybe lower 60s. It's not until Arkansas where you start to get dew point, Louisiana, Arkansas, Missouri, dew points are well into the 60s. We even have a couple of dew points of near 70 degrees, which will be developing by Thursday. Thursday and right before that front moves through on Friday, that's when we're really going to see the higher humidity. The wildfires have gone nuts in New Mexico, and it's just staying like that. Conditions a little bit cooler, but it is hot. Hot and humid air moves to the East Coast right before that front moves through late in the week. Temperatures will hit 90 degrees for the first time this year for Baltimore, Maryland. Thank you, everyone. I wish you a wonderful day. Thank you for listening. And perhaps if there's time later today, this podcast will be redone. But if not, I hope everyone enjoyed either way. Have a wonderful day.